Okay. Hello, everybody. I am the Spirit Man, the embracer of human good and analyst of fiction. Now, about a week ago, I saw a couple of new movies that were recently released, starting with Mercy, starring Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson. This will be my quickie review with spoilers about the movie in question, which will basically be a brief plot summary and overall thoughts on the movie. And as I said about 10 seconds ago, and as says in the video title, this will have spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, click away or mute the video now. But I would appreciate a like and a subscription if you're new to the channel. Alright, here we go. So, the premise of the movie is basically the main character, Chris, played by Chris Pratt, ironic, right, is supposed to prove his innocence in regarding the murder of his wife. Most of the movie takes place in the Mercy Room with the AI judge character Maddox, portrayed by Rebecca Ferguson. And it's pretty ironic because the main character, Chris, is a detective who helped push this whole new AI judge system through that's supposed to absolutely prove the guilt of defendants in question and execute them on the spot. And there's already been 18 other defendants before Chris who have been executed in the past couple or so years before the main events of this movie take place. And Chris has bad history with his wife in the past couple or so years since he lost his partner due to some crazy circumstances, and there's all this evidence that seems to point to Chris as the killer of his wife, which he very firmly denies. He only has about roughly 90 minutes to prove his innocence. Otherwise, he'll be executed on the chair he's strapped to on the spot, because that's how the whole AI judge system, that's how Maddox works. But he does have access to all these resources he can use to prove his innocence before time runs out. He has all these internet sources and police records and a handful of phone calls and so on that he can use to try to prove his innocence. And most of this movie is done in real time, if I'm saying that right, if I'm using that right. It didn't take long for me to get invested in this whole thing. So ultimately, there's like some false leads that Chris follows, and some red herring suspects here or there that he follows, including this one Holmes guy who had some financial troubles with Chris's wife, who he may have killed because of all these financial troubles. But ultimately, it all leads to Rob Nelson, portrayed by Chris Sullivan, who wants to take revenge on Chris for his involvement in the in executing his brother, and his brother was the first Mercy defendant. And Rob tries to destroy the whole AI judge, the whole Mercy building, and ultimately kill a whole bunch of other people nearby as well. But ultimately, Chris and everyone stop him. But Chris and Maddox get a bit suspicious regarding the case with Rob's brother, because a certain woman was involved, and there's been this partner / best friend of Chris's throughout this whole movie named Jack, who is ultimately proven within like less than a couple or so minutes. She had been the one. It's proven she was the one who framed Rob's brother for all this crap, just so the AI judge, just so that Mercy could be approved. And Jack makes her case about how, no, we needed Mercy to succeed. We needed Mercy to start to put scum like Rob away. And Chris is all, we need justice, Jack, not this. And so both Rob and Jack are taken away, and Chris is reunited with his teenage daughter, who was held hostage during this whole climax. And then, like, Maddox looks down on Chris from above on the big screen, saying, "Chris, what have we done?" And Chris is all, "What we were programmed to do." So overall, this movie was good. I'd rank it like a 79%, a high C+. it kind of was, ironically enough, I think it was trying to do what Megan 2.0 was doing last year. Trying to do last year in humans and AI working together, coexisting together, and etc. I would argue that this one did handle that theme, that idea a little better. And I can kind of see why critics don't like this movie so much because of the action movie tropes and so on that we've seen over and over again. And they probably argue that it was sloppily put together. But at the same time, I kind of see why audiences like this movie a lot more compared to them. Personally, I felt like some things could have been extended on and other things could have been shortened or just removed altogether, It could have taken at least a couple or so major rewrites would have made this movie a lot better, but overall, good movie, good action flick. Definitely recommend it. See it at least once or twice. I'll probably will cover it more thoroughly in the future one day when the time's right. But yeah, that's my quickie review with spoilers about Mercy. And it's time to move on to the next movie I saw recently in the next video. See you all there when we talk about Send Help.